Welcome. We're from India. I'm Chaitanya. I'm the Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for India's premier film school. What we're going to talk about today is the work that the school and its faculty have done to do a bunch of problem-solving solutions in virtual production, starting from an underlying metadata transfer protocol, as well as a decision-making tree that we have built to make sure that virtual production is used judiciously and it's technically sound, right? So, sorry, is this working? Yeah. Problem solving in virtual production. Now, this is the technical, boring definition of what virtual production is. It is a new film workflow that essentially creates a real-time ability to merge the digital and the physical. This is the standard technical definition, right? But what we've realized what works best when you speak about virtual production is that you're no longer shooting video, you're capturing data. This is the easiest way for DOPs, directors, everybody to understand. And the moment they understand this, the penny drops and then the entire workflow goes around much better, right? So, okay. The first thing we need to understand is there is no one virtual production. There are multiple workflows. The workflows are defined by how much live action is shot real time, how much of CG assets are created when, and where does the output come from. So there's all CG virtual production, which we've seen used in Lion King. There's on-set virtual production, which has been used for years and years and years, which is the real-time world replacement in a green screen environment or in a green box environment. And the newest one, which is ICVFX, which is the fancy LED walls that we see all over the floor. Now, each of these is its unique setup, has its unique structure, and you need to approach it accordingly, which is what we have. Okay, I really don't know what's not working. Yeah. I'm also part of the Society of Motion Pictures and Television Engineers Rapid Industry Solutions for virtual production. I'm the education co-chair for that. Vivek is on the metadata section for the same. And SMPTE over the last 2.5 years has been doing a lot of work in virtual production and has created the first ever wall chart. So this was created in 2021, has been updated in 2023. It includes the entire virtual production process in a single wall chart, talks about each area of virtual production as well as the entire skill sets needed. So this is a good one view understanding of virtual production. You can go to the SMPTE.org site and download it. It's available for free. We found it's really helping a lot of students and filmmakers to understand it better. What we have also done though at Whistling Woods is to take this complicated wall chart and reduce it down to the smallest unit of filmmaking, which is the shot. And this is what it looks like when you break it down at the shot level, right? Where you have action assets, you have the world, and then you have gaming engine. Action assets are anything that moves in the middle of the shot. It could be lights, it could be props, it could be a physical actor, it could be anything. And the world is what you're essentially looking at. So the world doesn't move, the world doesn't change in the middle of the shot, but your point of view of looking at the world changes. And when both these are brought together real time on a gaming engine that's virtual production enabled, now you've got your workflow at the shot level, at the smallest unit level. And this is really how we've been able to understand what are all the problems, right, in each of these. So live action is okay, you can teach actors how to act, props are fine, but when it comes to motion capture, photogrammetry, volumetric capture, lighting, all these things are new. And hence we had to build out solutions for them. Now the underlying foundation of all this is essentially the metadata transfer protocol, because that's how every single segment, every single piece of the virtual production workflow pipeline talks to each other. And in order to do this, what we kind of did was to bring on board a film engineer, somebody who's been around in the industry for a while. He's a VFX supervisor. He's done a lot of work, commercially released films. He's worked for the American Society of Cinematographers and currently is our virtual production lead. So I'd like to bring on board Vivek. Vivek will take you through how his approach has been for building out the problem-solving solutions in virtual production, and then we'll do a short Q&A after that. So over to you. That's the right.
Hello, hi guys. Hi, my name is Vivek, and I teach at Whistling Woods. I head the virtual production department, and I run a small startup called Film Engineers, which specializes in designing and developing custom tools, especially focusing on virtual production side. Right. So, the right or the back?
Back.
Okay, cool. So, content creation in VFX, I'm sure you all know about what OSVP and ICVFX is, and VFX, especially OSVP pipeline, has over 29 major focus areas, ranging from pre-production, production, and post-production, where all of this data needs to be connected somehow, right? From the storyboarding concepts to deliverables, right? So as easy and organized as it might look like, this is what we do today. It's a bit chaotic, right? So there's no single software, there's steep learning curve, and there's limited skilled manpower, and there's a constant battle with time and, money, right? How do we reduce this, vast timeline into one? The answer to this is metadata. So we came up with this solution that's a three-part solution, which is a software, and there are hardware units, especially what Chaitanya just spoke about when there are action assets, right? Action assets are moving elements that are physical, and virtual production deals with virtual worlds. How do we connect these both? We need to have an engaging data transfer protocol that translates the physical entities into the virtual world. So that leads us to creating this metadata framework called Portal B. It's just a random name that just, we just kept. And what it essentially does is it takes in the data from any of the feeds, especially from the cameras and the devices that's on set, including camera tracking units or treadmills and turntables, which we'll see a couple of slides later, where this framework unifies all this data and translates into one unified ground truth, right? There are multiple coordinate systems between software. There are many DCC tools that we use that has different coordinate systems, X, Y's, and Z's. And what this protocol essentially does is the framework basically takes in everything and then unifies that and then puts it to the final render engine. And there are multiple plugins that's available for this. So this is just a little boring structure of how this, metadata protocol works and how the bits are transferred from one place to the other. And some of the metadata that are supported right now is slate information, file information. We have camera metadata that's from different vendors, but can be unified with these common factors. And we have lens metadata, which is more crucial than you think it is. And then we have color science, VFX, and virtual production. So this is a growing list of metadata that is being adapted in this framework. And that's how we are able to connect all of this physical entities into the virtual world. So how and why did we start? Because there are many softwares that does take metadata inputs, but there was no single software or there was no single solution that was available to capture all the mechanical inputs. These are hardware, modules or devices or some sort of libraries that you can even incorporate this into an Arduino or a small microcontroller that you can simply put it in your props or any moving asset on your set to be integrated into the virtual world. And this is our first prototype tracking system that we made back in 2019. And we work closely with, a lot of studios. Those are signed up with us to do a beta test. And this is the latest output. This is the latest audio. It's a quick teaser that we just made before the show. And, yeah, this essentially is, one of a kind. It does not use any optical, tracking system like the others. This uses radio frequency and, a couple of sensor fusion mechanisms like algorithms that runs behind. And, we can run this on your iPhone. You don't need a heavy processing unit. This device attaches to your iPhone and then it just sits on top of your camera. That's it. And this is on OSVP live production software that integrates the entire metadata protocol and the devices that uses the metadata protocol to be integrated directly into the timeline, which eventually gets connected to the Unreal Engine, and then all of this studio elements are connected in one place. So what we're talking about is the virtual production pipeline. This is where the connected metadata goes. All the devices are talking to one another using just one streamlined framework. And this is a sample test that we did by connecting a Cook lens to a small Arduino device. So any tinkerers can simply make use of this framework, drag and drop it into your, tool, ESP tool probably, and then you'll be able to read the data from there. These are the early stages of our tinkering, and where we are on the roadmap is we're planning to launch this framework as part of open source so that people can start using this. And some of them are available as plugins even now. If you go to our website, you'll be able to find that. And we're also planning to release a development kit where you can tinker your own way of adding, if you want to add a bicycle to the shot, or if you, one of my friends who's working on a mainstream production back in India, they have incorporated this module into a small gun prop. So as and when he shoots, there's a marker that's added on the timeline that you can easily take that to the post-production, and then you can trigger muzzle flashes, right? And also you can trigger blood splats. So, and later, probably towards the end of the year or the beginning of next year, we're planning to include SMPTE ST2110 transfer protocols, and there's a bunch of our colleagues who are also working at SMPTE to integrate these advanced metadata protocols. Probably we're going to converge and become one, which is why we're planning to make this more available to the end users and then take this forward. Cool. You want to take this?
So these are some of the applications that we've built out for the protocol. So the first one is, how do you give a mechanical input to a digital asset, right? Now, historically, you've had to eyeball it. Some human has had to physically drag either the virtual camera or an object in the Unreal Engine in order to give it a mechanical input, right? A physical movement. So the first one that we've looked at is walking. So if you're walking in an LED volume, there's only so much that you can walk. Otherwise, you'll walk into the LED wall or you'll walk off stage. It's even worse if you're running. Now, historically, the solution has been to make the person walk on a treadmill. And then the only way that the camera knows that the person is walking is the background world is zooming in or zooming out. But that has had to be eyeballed because there was no way to track the speed of the person's movement. And if he or she suddenly broke into a jog in the middle of the walk, it's some human is scrambling somewhere to try and get the world to speed up. So what Vivek and team did essentially was to create an encoder using the same underlying metadata transfer protocol to create a treadmill attachment. And so we are now able to move an Unreal object using a mechanical input, using that encoder, right? So this was the first ever test that we did. Now, if it can be applied to an object, it can obviously be applied to the whole world, to the virtual world. Now, this was one of the deployments that happened at the Media Monks stage in Delhi, in India, where it was actually used for one of their demos.
So for that, he could walk as long as he wants. I think it's
so the same
as simple as it may look. I think it's a brilliant solution to what a lot of us are facing. Like 6 months ago, when a client comes in and says, "Hey, I have this walking street. I just need an OTS, or maybe I just need a frontal shot.
We're able to,
and it was like something like, yeah, like you have to kind of limit it to like 3 seconds because that's how much they're walking. We just shot the commercial that you see Fuse. There was supposed to be a scene where they're walking through the tunnel. This would have solved that solution. This would be a solution.
The next problem that exists is how do you use a high-speed motion bot, right? So either a Bolt or one of the MRMC products in virtual production, because the robotic arm moves really fast and really precise. Now, the same thing to replicate for a virtual camera inside Unreal is very hard because, again, it's human defined. It's not an automated input. So here what we essentially did was we were able to take a high-speed motion bot and install the protocol on the command module itself, so that the same signal that's going to the robotic arm is also going to the VCAM in Unreal. So this was the first test that we had done on campus. There's a simple, just move it on one axis to check how quick. So this was done at 0 frames drop. Right? This was real time. And then we decided to take a slightly more complicated shot in our Greenbox studio. So as you can see, the robotic arm is moving on all 3 axes. So left, right, up, down, and diagonally, and we're able to do real-time world replacement in order to create the visual that the person who's actually sitting on a green box is sitting on the edge of a building, right? And the third one is the turntable. Now, again, turntable is used a lot if you have a careful quarter turn or half turn in a volume stage. The problem is the world doesn't necessarily turn at the same pace. How do you get the world to turn at the same pace? Is to again put an encoder on the turntable and take the same input out. So this is again at the physical deployment at Media Monks in Delhi.
I need to get away from this. So it's
Oh, it's fine. So as you can see, just as the actors and the prop turns,
let's just
see the
say
world turning at the same pace, at the same speed, in order to maintain parallax, in order to maintain
I'm
fidelity.
thinking Matrix again, guys.
Fake, so it doesn't look
Bullet time.
well unreal, to use a pun.
All right, I know it's not perfect. Can we stop? Sumit, thank you.
Now,
yes.
So it's
so as you can see on the screen, like, you know,
again, you don't really need to do anything. You can actually.
It may not be the perfect example for this scene, but
reduces a lot.
Imagine like the whole entire thing.
And most importantly, now that we've solved the technical problems, or we've given a few problem-solving solutions for physical, technical, mechanical problems, now comes the big problem-solving for virtual production, which is, when should you do this? Right? Right now, the biggest problem of virtual production is that it's being used indiscriminately. Everybody thinks that everything can be shot in virtual production, which isn't necessarily a great idea. And, you know, the biggest enemy of virtual production is thinking that virtual production should be used everywhere. So we wanted to very early, right at the student level and at the initial level, disabuse everyone of the fact. So we actually built out a decision tree flowchart. Now, this has been built out by us, and we're more than happy to share it with whoever wants it, so that, you know, there's judicious use. It has a specific function, it has a specific use, and that is what it should be used for. Please don't, if you're shooting a rom-com with just a couple inside an apartment, please book an apartment and shoot it there. Please don't recreate the whole apartment is a photogrammetry asset and then, you know, build it onto an LED volume for whatever reason. It makes no sense. It will take you 4 times as much time. at least 4 times as much cost. And then what happens is virtual production gets a bad name. Right? It's not that fault. You're just using the wrong workflow. So yeah, sorry, you can't see anything in this. So we've kind of broken it down. But the reason why I wanted to show you this is there are 10 different outcomes. So the question is, should this be short in volume, right? And out of the 10 outcomes which are a yes, no, there is only one which says shoot on volume. We've broken it up further. Yeah. So should this scene be shot in volume? Is it short? There are options, shoot on location or in studio, right? Then there's another question. Then again, shoot on studio. So wherever possible, the idea is that you should use virtual production only what it's meant for. And it is meant to do high quality, high visual, fantastical, audio visual spectacle. And once you start to figure that out, then you actually use it judiciously and properly. So, sorry, how much time do we have left? 7 minutes. Okay, good. Now, the last bit, and I put this in for fun, because yes, we're doing a lot of this hard work and we're doing all this, but is there money at the end of all this? Now, okay, this is an estimate, but at least we have some estimate. So 2022, it is about $1.8 billion, just the virtual production, global virtual production market. And it's expected to reach somewhere around, I can't see, $6.8 billion over the next 5 years. So as long as you do this right, as long as you do this well, as long as you do this judiciously, this is a very, very, very strong filmmaking workflow, which is here to stay. Right? Yes, there will be consolidation. Yes, there will be some virtual production studios which will come up, which will shut down. But overall, it's really, really important that we understand that this is a fantastic workflow, great workflow. Yes, there are problems in it. And yes, we can solve them both in creative and production and technical. But VP is here to stay. So we got to make the journey, fail repeatedly, fail fast until we stop failing. Thank you. So you can scan this and download the portal tracker, portal beam framework from GitHub.
Probably going to be released in a couple of days.
Yeah.
The first version of it. You can have a look at it online. And there's our presence here in Los Angeles. We are associated with Fabric. We are based out of Playa del Rey. If you need some demos or any consultation, so you can find me there. And yeah.
Happy to, we have, I think, 2-3 minutes. Happy to take questions, if any. Thank you. Thank you. So, any questions? We're happy to take them about what we've done, the thought process used.
I have a quick question. For the on-camera attachment for their iPhone, will you support any other devices like that? I know like having that type of thing on your iPhone is nice, but a lot of people also need to use their phones pretty regularly on set, and it's hard to like dedicate a personal phone to that type of work. Will you have any kind of other solutions for that?
You can get it on the phone.
Yeah, it's much cheaper than, getting a whole new tracking system, right? So this is, at this point, it's in pre-patent, where I would say a few weeks away from finalizing and locking the patent, and then it will go into production over the rest of the year. You should start to see some commercial noise being made about this if all the money comes in time, sometime around December or January. So it's a global production line. There is some production happening in Estonia, some of it is happening in Poland, some of it is happening in India, and we're looking at global distribution starting out of India. Yeah.
You can. Yeah, you can.
iPad mini. Actually, iPad mini is a really good one for it because it's the right size. It's not too big, it's not too small.
Yeah, any iOS devices that has LiDAR in it should do. Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it compare to a traditional camera tracking system in terms of latency and coverage?
When we started, it was like 6 frames delay, and then we kind of compensated that in the latest beta release, and we are able to do 1 frame offset, so which is pretty much acceptable in many tracking systems around. Yeah.
So on the high-speed motion bot, on the treadmill, and on the turntable, it is no frames delayed. Right?
Those are all mechanical.
Because they're all mechanical. They're all wired inputs, so that helps. On the tracking, because it's RF based, it's not line of sight based. So it doesn't matter even if you occlude the sensor entirely. You can even take it outside the marker boundary. Right? You can even take it outside up to a point. Obviously, you can't take it miles out, but and it will still work. So those are some of the benefits that, which RF brings in.
That's loud. What countries are you currently certified for using this device in? Because I know RF you got to have a lot of restrictions with that sometimes.
That's right. So we use ultra widebands, which is pretty much acceptable in these are all legal radio frequencies across many countries. So we use certified ultra wideband radio frequency oscillators.
But also because it's outside in, the how should I say, the leakage isn't significant.
Thank you. I had a question, because a lot of what you've done here is simplify the knowledge so that it can be understood and tracked and we can follow these workflows. I think another part is who needs to know this, because a lot of this knowledge can be intimidating for directors and creatives. And what would be interested to know is, how do we empower these creatives with this knowledge and not scare them?
So, in fact, that's specifically why we built it into the SMPTE wall chart. Come on. So if you look at this is actually giving you the entire skill set range as it exists today. So for example, between creative, production and engineering, so from red to green, depending on where you are in the industry today, what are you doing? What skill sets do you already have? And how do you want to use that to make a transition into virtual production? Now you know where your space is, where you'll sit in the VP pipeline. Hence, what is it that you need to learn? Just like filmmaking, one person can't make a whole film. You need a bunch of people. Similarly, even for the virtual production workflow, one person cannot do it. Right? So you have to find where your place is. So if you are a DOP, you could be on the capture mode on set. You could also be doing virtual scouting. You could also be on the color side. You could also be on the lighting side. So it depends what your existing skill set is and how you want to transition into the virtual production workflow. See, as far as students go who are just learning filmmaking, for them, they're again taught as per their skill set. So if it's a cinematography student, he or she learns how to hold and shoot the physical camera, how to operate the VCam, how to use a physical crane, how to use a crane inside the gaming engine. So what we're doing is we're not necessarily separating the workflow from the skill set. Right? So there is cinema, there is television, there is OTT, and there is immersive. So just like that, there is a live action workflow, there is a animated workflow, there is a VFX traditional workflow, and there is a virtual production workflow. And depending on your skill set, you find your place in it. So it's going to take some time for this to settle down. As you see from at NAB and every other place, VP is a bit of a hype right now. So it will settle down. It will become a norm soon. That's when more of these roles will start to solidify. Sorry, did that answer your question? Thank you. We good? Okay. Thank you so much. We're out of time. Please feel free to write in to Vivek or me. Happy to send you any information about it. And if you all are keen on doing any kind of beta testing, if you all have studios and access to that, that's something that we are opening up soon as well. There's already one in LA. We're happy to have more. Thank you.